Welcome to Death on Clare Island, Chapter 14A. Sometime later, Lorcan's red and white Piper Super Cub's droning engine woke me. The sun shone steadily around the window shades. I hugged the silk sheets and I planted my feet on the still warm water bottle that Aunt Georgina had fixed the night before. My fingers explored my face and needs for swelling, but only found some soreness. Closing my eyes, I willed myself to let the airplane's white noise lull me back to sleep. Thinking about yesterday's events could wait another few hours. When I raised my lids again, I heard vehicles speeding along Cottage Road. Reaching under my pillow, I pulled out my watch. Just a few minutes after 10 o'clock. At that moment, there was a tap on my door, and Aunt Georgina glided into the room, toting a tray. I pushed myself up against the headboard, sitting up and slipping on the silk nightshirt I'd taken off during the night when the warmth of the room and bed had combined to make me feel like a sun-dried raisin. Aunt Georgina, I didn't hear you come in. I came through the back door, and I've made you breakfast. She placed a tray next to me on the bed. Thank you, I'm starving, I said as the aroma of peppermint tea filled my nostrils. While I thoroughly enjoyed the fresh-made brown bread, eggs, and bacon she'd conjured up, I managed to tell her that I'd slept through most of the night. Then I asked, "Where did you get all this food? Didn't come from my refrigerator." "Only yogurt, fruit, and vegetables occupy my cold space." "I knew you wouldn't have anything good in this house," she said, as she lifted her eyes over her glasses and pointed her finger at me. "I stopped at Quinn's shop on the way out from town for the bacon and eggs. I made the brown bread myself." "It's delicious. Is there any more?" "You can have more after you've gotten up. I'll see you in the kitchen." She scooped up the empty tray and swept out of the room. She was right. It was time to get up. First, a shower. Padding from my bedroom through the living room, I caught the clatter of the mail slot announcing that the post had arrived. Pivoting around, I saw the scatter of envelopes lying on the rug inside the front door. I left it there and went into the bathroom. Then I was standing under the warm spray until nothing from yesterday remained. 30 minutes later, I joined Aunt Georgina in the kitchen for another cup of peppermint tea. She had been good enough to retrieve the mail and pile it in the middle of the oak kitchen table. "How about more of that bread?" I asked as I opened a long envelope that had no return address. "Of course, there's plenty of it here." Then I gasped, and Aunt Georgina wheeled around. She dropped the bread knife on the cutting board and moved over to where I stood staring at a single piece of paper. "What is it, Star?" she asked, peeking over my shoulder. I showed her the one line that was written there with a magic marker in large block letters. "Mind your own business, Yank, or you'll be sorry." "Jesus, Mary and Joseph," Georgina said as her usually dark complexion paled several shades. "Who could have done this?" The writing on the envelope had also been printed with a marker. A Castle Bar postmark indicated that it had been mailed yesterday morning. I have no idea. I didn't want Aunt Georgina to know how shaken I was by the note, so I folded it calmly and set it aside. In my mind, I could still clearly hear the roar of the car that had tried to run me down yesterday. There was virtually no remaining doubt that yesterday's events had been intentional. I'd obviously come too close for comfort for someone. So how close was I? And to whom? Georgina wrung her hands. "Maybe it's time to tell Bridget that you've done all you can. After all, you were almost killed yesterday, and now this." Georgina grasped my hand. "Please, Star, listen to me this one time. Please." "Quit? Why? I'm on to something, or I wouldn't have gotten this note. Don't you see? There's no going back now. First the car, now the note. It's clear that there's more to Matthew's death than the police have made of it. And now I'm in danger. That's even more reason to find who's responsible. If I don't, maybe I'll end up the same as Matthew." Before she had a chance to argue, I kissed her cheek and then reached for the phone. Okay, so what do you plan to do? Aunt Georgina asked as she poured herself another cup of tea. First, I'm going to lug these aching bones on a power walk. Then I intend to talk to Raymond Nolan. Save the people, said the voice at the other end of the line. How may I direct your call? Raymond Nolan, please. I'm sorry. Mr. Nolan was delayed in traffic coming down from Dublin. We're expecting him back after 1 o'clock. May I take a message? This is Star O'Brien. Mr. Nolan told me that he'd meet with me at 2, so I'm calling to confirm. I relied on the fact that by the time Nolan's secretary learned that we didn't have an appointment, I'd already be sitting in his office waiting room. No problem. See you at 2, Miss O'Brien. Oh, and I'm curious, I said before she rang off. What kind of car does Mr. Nolan drive? I'm planning on commuting between here and Dublin, and I'm wondering what might be best to buy. I didn't know if his assistant would bite on this bait, but it was worth a try. He drives a Mercedes. I think he bought it recently. I'm sure he'd be willing to talk more about it with you when you're here. Okay, thanks. See you later, I said. I saw Aunt Georgina looking thoughtful when I went to get my sneakers. I'm sure that if you called him, Lorcan would go with you this afternoon. No way, I retorted. I don't need anybody. But Star, don't you think you should let the guards know about the letter? I appreciate your concern, Aunt Georgina, but don't you see, I have to do this alone. I have to take care of myself. Her big brown eyes glistened with tears as I walked over and hugged her. I love you, and I know you love me, I said, and I promise to take care of myself. The police are incompetent most of the time anyway. If they'd done their job, things wouldn't have gotten this far. I do wish I had some of my contacts from Ridgewood here with me, but since I don't, well, I'd better go for my walk. I gave Georgina one last hug, then went and changed into my exercise gear. When I returned to the kitchen, she vanished, but there was a note. Had to dash off to keep an apartment, darling. Have you really considered confiding in Lorcan? Bringing him up to date on any suspicions you might have? Just a thought. Be careful and call me to let me know what you're doing and where you're going. And please don't do anything foolish. Love, Georgina. P.S. Don't forget the gala tonight. Wear the maroon dress. I smiled at the fact that she underlined love. Aunt Georgina was a treasure.